Hiya. I'm going to do another video on the Queen Elizabeth. Pain in the ass she is. So, I'm going to tell you a bit of a background on this, and what led me to Queen Elizabeth, and really the kind of a short description on big events in my life, which may help you understand. Okay, so when I was small and young, I entered into a program, like a MK Ultra program, by a family friend, unknown to my mother. And through that, they basically received a lot of psychological, physical abuse. This was to break me, to join them, to be able to, so they could use me for their own agenda. And they had a big plan for me. It's like they knew I was coming in, and they can read consciousness, they understand consciousness, like the fingerprint of consciousness. So one side of, like, the Freemasons wanted me dead, and the other side didn't. They wanted to use me. So anyway, I entered into this programming, and like horrendous stuff you can imagine. I had the delights of meeting Jimmy Savile, Prince Philip, and I met the Queen at a ritual. And she scanned me. I was at this big manor house, and she scanned me and said there was something wrong with my heart. Well, in her perception, there was something wrong with my heart, but I'm realizing that there was nothing wrong with my heart. It's just they couldn't break my heart. They couldn't fracture the consciousness well enough in order for me to become the opposite of what I naturally am. And anyway, so at this, she scanned me, this Queen Elizabeth, and then after I went into a room, and in this room there was lots of children. They were waiting there, not acting like children, like jumping around or anything. They were just all waiting there. And my handler, he asked me to pick a child to stand with, and I was scanning the room, and I picked this little boy, and then he tied a red string around my wrist and around his wrist, so we were tied together, and we just had to wait there until we were called, and then we were led outside and led, in a row. And we got outside, and it was dark, and I just remember lots and lots of adults, and the children had to be at the front. And I remember flames, but I can't remember really what we were looking at. But I knew, like, some sort of ritual. And the Queen was over on the far side. Anyway, I'm looking down at this red string, and I thought, oh, I could get out of this. So I did. And I legged it, fucking legged it. And that was a big no-no, because the handler, who just showed him up in front of his whole peers, like, it was like really bad. That was a really bad day for him, and obviously in front of the Queen as well. And he probably had high hopes in his career, and I suspect he's not recovered as much as, but he still works for the Queen, so it's not too bad. I suppose it wasn't too bad for him. Anyway, after that, they realised that they couldn't use me for what they wanted, so they just tried to destroy my family instead. Probably unknowing to us growing up, we had many attacks from synthetic energies, the Queen, they kept an eye on me, and the Queen kept an eye on me using portals, like, through my mother and everything like that. So it was, we've learnt a lot along the way. And then I had my I had my awakening when I was 27, and then after that, I probably about 4 or 5 years after that, I met another Freemason, but he told me that I was programmed, and that kind of woke me up. And then sort of on the what is programming, and like in disbelief, and then over things have come up, and remembering what has took place when I was a child. So it's been an interesting journey. And then when I had my son, things heated up. They wanted to use and abuse my son, so I was getting lots of psychic attacks, lots of synthetic attacks, and the whole process of discovering what the hell was going on, which has led me to so much understanding that I have today, and of the matrix, synthetic energies, to implants, to ETs, entities. I mean, it's led me to me trying to understand what the fuck happened to my family and to myself, and what was happening with my child has led me to understanding how the system works. And obviously I don't understand all of it yet, but still the understanding comes every day, and that understanding helps me help people break free of this shitty system that we're in. Anyway, I last year, or is it 2 years ago? No, last year, yeah. So 2 years ago, me and my partner, we got together. Fucking hallelujah. I loved this man so much. And there was a friend of his that was a healer. I met her, lovely, thought, well, nice lady. But ended up turning out she started to attack psychically. So I was like, fucking hell. Another one. Anyway, that led me to where she really went in when I started to see the matrix. Now, what I realised is that she was attacking me before that, and I didn't know what to do, and I ended up going outside of the matrix and ended up being cleared. And then when I came back in, I started to see the egg-shaped hollow dome, the programming, the consciousness hooked up to the machines and everything like that. And I was like, oh wow. And then the attacks got really bad, like really bad. And then I learned about the machines, and every attack I've tried to learn from and understand, and in order to not get attacked again, yeah. And so that's been the journey. And now I'm realising that the gifts that I received of being able to see more came from the watchers, the people that are doing the experiments. And anyway, when I was trying to find so this lady was attacking, and that led me to the consciousness at the top of the matrix, which was Queen Elizabeth. And then when I got to there, really pretty screwed up consciousness. She was nice to not very nice, and she projects herself in Nibiru as reptilian and everything, and she is the most amazing manipulator. She uses favorite, I suppose, is fake feminine energy, which is a manipulating, deceptive energy. And all the time she was at the root of all the attacks of my family, myself, my son, and they'll use anybody to get to you. And she made me believe that, I know that the matrix was falling and stuff like that, and made me believe that that she was changing and she was waking up and blah blah blah. And I kind of just left her alone. She asked me to give messages to people, and I wouldn't like work for her or anything. And anyway, I did a journey. I can't remember what it was, but I know I spoke to somebody, and then afterwards I went and cleared myself, as I normally do. And I was kind of dragged, and I just saw the Queen and my handler, the handler that I had as a child, talking. And she was talking to the handler and saying, I want her to make her believe that she's free, but that she's not. So like basically deceive me. And then they saw me viewing them, and she turned into a reppy, and I kind of got out of there, wherever I was. And then a few days later, my son received an attack, and so did my partner. And that day, I thought, right, I was at the beach with my kids, and they were playing in the water, and I thought, right, I'll go and get this webbing that she uses off my partner. So I went and got the webbing, started to get the webbing off, and then I realised that the webbing went to the queen, the top of the matrix. And this just pure energy of just how wrong what she's doing, how wrong it is, and how all this needs to be teared down. And me and Guy just teared it all down, the machinery down, the last of it. I mean, it wasn't hanging on by much, but teared it all down. And then what happened is that the outside of the matrix, at the top of the matrix, is a huge consciousness, a female consciousness of which is covered in AI. All that, half of the AI just has ceased working. And now when I go into the matrix, there's a huge hole at the top of the matrix where beautiful energy can now come in. And the female consciousness at the top of the matrix, at the top of the electrical box, can now shine through all this beautiful female consciousness, which is kindness, compassion, all the beautiful stuff, all the beauty, basically. So not only do we need to, clear our hearts out to create the reality that we want, but we'll also be receiving in very, very, very beautiful female energy outside of, that's going to help this reality to turn back to how it should be. And I remember coming back, and I just felt all just so emotional. I just end up sobbing, and I cry, but I'm not a crier. I'm definitely not in crying in public places. And I was surrounded by all these people, and I just sobbed because it was just I feel emotional now. Because all my life, just trying to break free from these Freemasons, and I mean, I had no clue it'd lead to the fucking Queen. I mean, you think, I would talk to people and think I'm fucking cuckoo. And I'm sure people would do, tell them the story, but I don't give a shit. It's the truth. Just knowing that those attacks have stopped, the big attacks. I'm sure I'll still get attacks of people that, traumatized and stuff like that, and the work that I do, but that's fair enough. But to me, the Queen's gone. Woohoo! And I don't know how long it takes. It'll take a while to get into this reality. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so that's my story. And yeah, I'll see what happens. See what happens from now. Hopefully no more attacks from the Queen herself. Okay, I'll let you go. Thanks for listening. You take care. Bye.